Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Todd Rockoff, and I'm the President and CEO at the Tucson JCC. Today's session is the second in our Amplifying Voices series. We will have the opportunity to hear from Tamar Manasseh and Brad Rothschild, who directed and produced the film They Ain't Ready for Me, that tells the story of how Tamar Manasseh and Mask are proving on a daily basis that something can be done to reduce gun violence when there is a will to do so. Amplified Voices is presented by the Tucson J, the University of Arizona Hillel Foundation, the Center for Judaic Studies at the University of Arizona, Dunbar Pavilion, and the Sam Levitt JCC in Birmingham, along with the Safety, Respect, and Equity Coalition and the Jewish Federation and Foundation of Southern Arizona. We are also proud to partner with the Gordon Center of the Baltimore JCC, the Alpert JCC of Long Beach, the Boulder JCC, the Siegel JCC of Delaware, the David Posnack JCC in Davie, Florida, and the Staten Island JCC. In addition, Hillels from across North America, including Drew University Hillel, University of Rhode Island Hillel, the Oregon Hillel Foundation, Wesley College of Jewish Life, and Hillel at Temple. It is an honor for me to introduce to you our two featured speakers for this evening's program. Director-producer Brad Rothschild is an award-winning producer and writer with both a creative and business background. He received his master's in international affairs and business administration from Columbia University. From 1995 to 1997, he served as a speechwriter and director of communications for the Mission to Israel from the United Nations. Brad produced the award-winning documentary feature Kinderblock 66, Return to Buchenwald, which has been screened all around the world. Brad directed the documentary film African Exodus about the plight of Israel's African refugees, and the documentary film Tree Man about the people who come to New York City to sell Christmas trees every holiday season. He is currently directing a documentary film about Raoul Wallenberg. Tamar Manasseh is a transformational figure and a community leader who is often sought out for commentary on stopping gun violence. The film They Ain't Ready for Me shows how Tamar and Mask, Mothers Against Senseless Killings, are proving on a daily basis that something can be done to reduce gun violence when there is a will to do so. Recently, PBS NewsHour interviewed Tamar for a segment following a particularly violent weekend in Chicago involving numerous gun fatalities. She's penned op-eds for the New York Times discussing the realities of Chicago's inner city. Tamar is a regular column in a leading Jewish media outlet, Forward, where she examines her faith and experience as an African-American Jew. I had the pleasure to view this film a couple of times. Each time I see it, I draw inspiration from the authentic passion and commitment to living our collective values by putting the meaning of the words we learn into the actions we live. In the movie, Tamar refers to the Torah portion from 2 weeks ago, Lech Lecha, and the journey that Abraham takes in leaving his father's home. Tonight, we will have the opportunity to hear about your journey. If people have questions, they should please type them into the Q&A, and we will do our very best to get to as many of them as we can. Brad, let me ask you the first question. How did you come to know about Tamar's story?
It was October of 2016, and I was reading an article online in the JTA, the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. The title of the article was Black Rabbinical Student Leads Army of Moms Against Gun Violence in Chicago. And with that, my attention was piqued, and I dove into this piece. At the top of the article was a picture of this striking woman named Tamar Manasseh. And I started reading about the organization that she created called Mask, Mothers and Men Against Senseless Killing, and about the incredible work that she was doing to prevent gun violence on the south side of Chicago. But what really got me about this article was when Tamar claimed that it was her Judaism that was the inspiration for her activism. And as I read this article, I thought to myself, I need to meet this woman and I need to make a film about her. So I reached out to her via social media. I sent her an email to her organization's website, and I introduced myself as a documentary filmmaker in New York City. And I said, I think that you would make a great subject for a film. Now, she didn't get back to me immediately. She didn't respond to all of my inquiries. Finally, I got a response to my email, and she wrote back, I think my life is about as interesting as watching the paint dry. So thank you for your interest, but no thank you. And I wrote back and I said, with all due respect, I disagree with your assessment of yourself, and I would really hope that you would reconsider. And we started a correspondence, mostly me reaching out to her and her not responding to me. But she would respond every once in a while. She responded just enough that I didn't lose hope, that I thought, okay, there's a possibility that this could happen. And then we spoke on the phone and we talked for like an hour. And I got off the phone and I thought to myself, she's even more incredible than I thought she was. And I really, it was burning inside of me that I wanted to make this film, but she was still keeping me at arm's length. And then one day I got a Facebook message from her, and she said, I'm in Staten Island. I can meet you now if you want to meet me. So for people out there who are not from New York City, I'll just explain the geography a little bit. I live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Staten Island, which is also technically part of New York City, is really not close to where I live at all. So I responded immediately and I said, give me 2 hours and I'll be there. And I dropped what I was doing and I drove out to Staten Island to meet Tamar. And we sat down and we had a very long conversation, and it was a great conversation. And finally, at the end, she looks at me and sort of shrugged her shoulders and said, you know, I guess if you really want to do this, we can film this summer when we're back out on the block. And that's exactly what we did.
Well, I think I speak for all of us when I say thank you for your persistence. And Tamar, thank you for the person that you are. And we're looking forward to getting to know you a little bit today.
Thank you.
Tamar, how are you influenced by your multi-ethnic background in moving this whole initiative forward?
You know what? I don't know. Easy to say what part of it doesn't influence me. I mean, like everything, literally everything from what I eat when I wake up in the morning to what the prayers I say before I go to sleep. Everything is governed by who I am, by my Judaism, by my Blackness, by something. And so it's kind of like, I've used those things to guide me through everything in life. One has helped me learn to live with the other, learn to deal with the other, learn to be the other in a way that a lot of other people haven't learned to do that just yet. So it was, it's like I got the opportunity to live kind of interstitially between all of these different parts. Somewhere in the middle is me. And I can see, I can step back and see what's going on in both communities, the things that we need to fix in both communities. And I'm in a really unique position because once I'm outside of the house looking in and I see what the problem, I see your hole in your roof, I can even go in, I can now go in and fix it. Other people can't. And so it's kind of like, it's a blessing. And I used to think it's a blessing and a curse, but it's not. It's a blessing to be able to speak these two languages, to live in these two worlds, to be, and then at times be a bridge between the two. So that's kind of how I look at my life and how I look at, you know, just all of my decisions and just my day-to-day actions, how they're informed.
That's great. I wonder, is there a particular, I loved your story about Lech Lecha in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a particular Jewish value or teaching that you look to for inspiration in the work?
You know, I think kind of like all of them, though. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Even the minor mitzvot are somehow, they all have a They all have something to do with my life. I apply all of these things to all different aspects of my life. It's all being at different moments, different times of day, different situations. There are different things that I can harken back to. And like Lech Lecha is kind of the story of the beginning. And the portion that I got for my ordination is Vayeshev. But the thing is, the ordination has to be postponed because of COVID. And there were a million parallels. And it's like that every year. As I said in the movie, it's this prismatic effect of Torah. Every year, you change, it changes. It changes because you change. And so it grows with you. You grow into it. And it's kind of like just the thought of Tikkun Olam and the thought of saving a life is akin to saving the whole world, and taking a life is akin to killing a whole world. Those things I take very seriously because, you know, as a fourth grader, a third grader, I was taught that I had this kind of power, that I could save the whole world, that a 4-year-old, like a fourth grader, that's 8 years old, 9 years old, from Inglewood could literally save the whole world. I had that much power. We aren't always taught that we're superheroes when we're little kids like that. But being Black and coming from the kind of neighborhood that I came from, I was taught that I could save the whole world. When I was in fourth grade, in Chumash, I could save the whole world. And that's heavy for a kid who lives in a neighborhood that's as poor and blighted as my neighborhood was. Because, I mean, we're waiting for somebody to come and save us around here, but it's different when the power becomes yours, when you can save somebody. You have the power to do that as a Jew. And then not just do you have the power to save someone, you have to at least try to do it. Because that's another thing that's incumbent upon you being a Jew. You have to at least try. And so you have this whole idea of repairing the world. And so when everybody else is having problems and everything else is huge and everybody else is drowning in the muck and mire and misery of everyday life in America sometimes, I don't see it that way. It's a crack. It's a crack that needs to be fixed. And the thing about a crack and being able to fix the crack is that no matter how badly things are going right now, you are constantly in the process of repairing it. You're fixing it. So you know that it might not be better. It might not be so obvious that, you know, things are changing and getting better today. But if I keep working at it every day, and this is the work that I do, and this is the repair that I'm making, it's going to get better. Nobody saw the impact of what we did on the corner 6 years ago when we first started. But now I'm sitting here. This guy's made a movie. I'm sitting here talking to you, and all of these wonderful people are listening because somehow when I started to repair that crack, people didn't see it in year 1. They didn't see it in year 2. It took a while. But that's what happens when you persevere and you persist and you do what you've been taught to do. You live the rules. This is what Jews do. You can't leave the world the same way you found it. You have to leave it better than when you got here. And so it's kind of like, if I didn't know these are things that I'm supposed to do, that I'm commanded to do, I wouldn't do them. These aren't optional. It's not optional that Jews try to make the world better. No, that's just what we do. So I take that very personal because I got it so young. I learned that very young. So it's a part of who I am now. And so there are different portions that we read that hit differently. They all are different every year. And it's like, oh, that's what that always meant. I never knew what that was before. And the thing was, you know, things are just words. Sometimes these things are just words until they take on the very meaning, and they take on meaning in your life until you start living them. So that's pretty much all of them. At any given moment, any of them can pop out at me. It all depends on what situation I'm finding myself in at the moment.
Well, your story is like an inspiring spark that now goes out to all of us, and we all take a piece of it, and are inspired, I hope, to do what we can do as well. So I hear that your ordination is happening. So what happened from the time that we saw in the film where they said no to where I think I heard you say you are now?
Yeah, my ordination was supposed to take place on December 12th, but because of COVID, it had to be postponed. But that's okay, that's fine. But I think just so many people saw the story, and I think it just got to be a lot of questions about why isn't this happening? Why can't this happen? And there was so many different groups offering smicha, and I just wouldn't take it from anyone else, that I think they kind of had to come around, because it's not a question of my abilities or me being capable. It's literally just a gender thing. And we have to move past that. We have to be bigger than that now. Everyone else is moving past it, so it's time for us to move past that as well. And I just think that it was just all of the attention that came along with the movie. And people were getting phone calls. You know, everybody thinks that every Black Jew knows every other Black Jew in the world. Like, so it's only so many times somebody can ask you, hey, do you know Tamar Manasseh? What's going on with that whole rabbinic thing? They got tired of answering those questions. That's all. That's what I think happened, but it was just time.
Well, I'm glad they got the right answer. So that's terrific. So this sounds like it's more of a full-time thing than maybe when you first started. How does this all happen? How do all the things that you provide for the children and the community get paid for?
The community donates. We are like the Bernie Sanders of community organizations. Every donation is like high. It's like $18 or $36 or an increment like that. And we've been able to do great things with that. We don't get any funding from the federal government, from any government agency at all. And I think I like it that way, because I like the autonomy. I like the freedom that it gives us to service the people that we want to service, to actually be there for the people that we want to be there for. And it cuts back on a lot of red tape. Some things have to be done immediately. You don't have time to get it approved and send it up the chain and wait 5 to 10 business days for it to come back. Sometimes things are very immediate and need to be done right now. So I like the way that we've been able to still exist and still do the work that we're doing without waiting on the government to tell us when, where, how we're going to do it.
That's great. How did you come up with this idea? Like, what inspired you to say, we're going to go sit on this corner and we're just going to make a difference with our presence and our being?
My kids. My kids were getting older and I didn't want them to die. It's just as simple as that. I mean, Jewish kids don't normally get murdered in Chicago, but Black kids get killed all the time. And my kids were at that age. And my daughter's, one of her friends was murdered. And she told me, you have to do something, Ma. You got to stop this. Now, how does a mother solve gun violence in Chicago? Now, maybe I can't do it, but I at least have to try, because my daughter believed that I could. So I had to try. And it for me, it's honestly, it's just like parenting 101. I mean, what do teenagers hate more than anything? Having their privacy invaded. So I'm going to go sit on this corner and I'm going to see everything, and I'm going to make sure I see everything. And I'm going to make sure you see me seeing everything. I'm not hiding behind blinds. I'm not peeping through the curtains. I'm not doing any of that. I'm actually sitting out on a corner in a neon pink t-shirt. And I'm saying, I see you and you see me. So go ahead, whatever you're going to do it. And I believe that kids wouldn't shoot anybody else out there while moms were sitting out there watching, while parents were watching. Kids behave completely different when their parents are around. And I believe that would be the case. And it was. Nobody wants to shoot anybody when 10 mothers are sitting on a corner watching them do it. That's not going to turn out well.
Well, that's for sure. What was the corner like this summer with COVID and maybe some of the restrictions or differences that might have existed?
Well, since the movie wrapped, we actually built a school on that corner out of shipping containers. So proud of it, because it's so awesome. But we had kids in the classroom over the summer, and we were getting ready for the fall because we knew we would be going back into an e-learning situation. So over the summer, we started the remote tutoring project that we have called Study Buddies. And we started getting the classrooms ready for younger kids to come for the school year. So it was pretty quiet on the block with the social distancing and everything else. It was pretty quiet. So we really focused a lot over the summer on preparing for the fall and the winter and the spring and what would come after summer.
Fantastic. So in the film, we saw you celebrate Passover and we saw you celebrate Sukkot, which were really very meaningful. Are there ongoing celebrations or services representing both communities on the corner?
We do. Christmas is called Christmas Hanukkah, because there's a little bit of something for everybody in there. So you got a menorah and a Kinara and a Christmas tree, and it's pretty great. And we invite anybody, if you have traditions that you like to share from your faith background, you come here and do it. Come share it with everybody. So we invite everybody to come in and teach us about their traditions. And so sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. One year we did Sukkot, and we had some ministers there because they were celebrating the Pentecost. Great, come on, let's do this. So we really try to integrate whatever it is that people want to share. We try to integrate that into what we do on the block, because we do want it to feel like family, and we do want it to feel like everybody's welcome here. Whatever you believe in is welcome here. If it makes you better, if you feel like this is what makes you a better person, please bring it. We love to have it.
That's great. How did you choose 75th and Stewart? Why that corner in particular?
3 days before we went to sit on that corner, there was a mother that was murdered there across the street in a drive-by, Lucille Barnes. She was breaking up a fight between two kids in broad daylight. It's 7 p.m. and at the end of June in the summer, and she's breaking up a fight. Somebody rolls by and does a drive-by, and she's dead. And the news tells the story like she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, being a mother, that doesn't make sense to me. How is breaking up a fight between two kids on a summer night? It's not even dark outside yet. How is that being in the wrong place at the wrong time? That's what mothers do. It was the shooters that were in the wrong place at the wrong time, not the mother. This is not, you can't put this on us. You can't scare people into no longer being able to effectively parent. And that's what I felt like was happening. If we believe that what we do as mothers is going to get us killed, then how do we keep doing that? Why would we keep doing that? And so that's where he went, because I knew that there would absolutely be retaliation. That, I mean, when moms are killed, it's a very emotional thing. She had a big family. So if there's going to be any cyclical violence, if the violence is gone, if they're going to go and shoot at the guys who came and shot at her, they're coming back to shoot again, and it's going to keep going. So I figured I would go to the place where I knew that violence would be. And if I could disrupt it in that place, it will work anywhere. And that was the thought. So that's how I ended up there.
So when you first started sitting there, did the community welcome you right away? How was the reception of what you were trying to do? Because we saw kind of the baked version of what it looked like.
It took about 3 or 4 days. It didn't take long. It was, at first it was suspicion, because what are you doing here? What do these people want? They're crazy. They're sitting on a corner barbecuing and wearing these t-shirts. What are they doing? Why are they here? And the idea was, I told kids, like, hey, you hungry? Come get some food. Well, how much is it? It's free. Why is it free? Because you don't have any money. Do you have money? Do you want to pay for it? Because you can if you want to. But one thing a mother knows about teenagers is they are always hungry, always. And they're broke, because that's what teenagers are, broke and hungry. Yes, they are. And the thing is, I'm going to give you this. And why are you giving me this? Because I don't want you to die. I'm here to make sure nothing happens to you. And I'm making sure you don't hurt yourself. You don't hurt each other. No one hurts you. That's what I'm here to make sure happens. And so day one, day two, I kept coming back. So probably after about 3 days, it was like those were my kids. Those were my people. And it was like they kind of, we kind of got woven into the fabric of the community after that. And so it was the consistency. It was I'll see you tomorrow. And I know I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm going to be here, and you feel safe when I'm here. So it's good. You want me to be here, and I want to be here. So every day I'm going to be here. And I think that's what did it for us. It was the consistency and the sincerity.
That's amazing. So in the film, and I'm sure ongoing, there are police that are continually patrolling the area, it seems, or around the area. How's your relationship with the police? Do they look at you as an asset to them, or is it a little bit challenged at times?
I mean, we've seen what's been going on with the police for the past few years. I mean, my block is no different. But just quick story, the police always see something, say something. Over the summer, just in July, I told the police that there would be violence at a funeral. Like this funeral is going to be really violent if you don't do something about it. So you should go and make sure you have cars there. Make sure you put an extra detail there. And because it's going to be dangerous. Long story short, they sent one car, 15 people were shot at the funeral. Most of them were children. When the police were asked and the mayor was asked about the shooting in a press conference, they told the media, who I also tipped off, told the media that they had no credible tips. They didn't know that was going to happen. When clearly everyone in that room had gotten a tip already, and everyone in the room knew that this was going to happen, and they didn't prevent it because my tip wasn't credible enough. So that should sum up the relationship between, me and CPD.
Well, thank you for sharing that honestly. So the land itself, who owns that? Is that city property? Has your organization kind of taken that over at this point? How does that work?
Well, half of it is the Cook County Land Bank actually donated half of it, which was really great. And the city of Chicago, the other half, they said we own it. However, we've never seen any paperwork or anything of the sort. And I think we own it, but I don't know what the city is doing. But it doesn't matter to me because we built a school there. So I mean, what are you going to do? Come and pick up the school and take it? What's going to happen? What are you going to do? So I don't know. I think we own the other half. I'm just not sure. The city might have other ideas.
Terrific. So I think I heard you say that this was being replicated in other areas. Is masks starting to pop up around the country or in other cities or even within Chicago?
Yeah, we are really undergoing a large expansion now. And I mean, it's funny that someone from the Staten Island JCC is part of this because Staten Island is one of our biggest chapters. And so Staten Island was second to Chicago. So I'm really proud of the work that they do there. Those women, the people that are involved in that group are so dedicated and they are so amazing. So big ups to Staten Island. But we just for Thanksgiving, we're giving away, shameless plug, we're giving away 1,000 Thanksgiving dinners. And we're asking people to donate their $25 and feed the family of 4. You can go to our website and donate, but that's another thing. Brad, put that in the chat. But we will be giving out Thanksgiving dinners in 4 states, from Illinois all the way down to Mississippi. So we are doing, we're calling it the Turkey Trot Caravan, because we're doing a road trip from Chicago down to Mississippi, and we're giving out 1,000 Thanksgiving dinners along the way in different cities. So all of those cities are cities that will have mass chapters or already have them. So we're going into the deep South. If Georgia can turn blue, so can Mississippi.
Well, it seems like you are filling a big crack every day and making a difference. This is
I'm trying.
Really an incredible story. Your journey to North Carolina was really interesting, and it clearly moved you in many, many ways. Have you had the opportunity to travel to Israel yet?
I have not been to Israel yet. I'm going to go there one day. I had a problem with the way that the Israeli government were treating Africans. So I was not, because after all, I am still an African. And so if one of us is being mistreated, we're all being mistreated. So I wasn't going there until Israel figured out exactly how to be a bit kinder and gentler to the African population and to African people who even visit there. So once COVID goes away, Brad and I are going to take a trip to Israel and we're going to film it, and it's going to be crazy because I said I wasn't going to go to Israel until Benjamin Netanyahu personally called me and invited me himself. But I might go sooner because I don't consort with criminals.
Well, I hope you have the opportunity to go, and I hope that you can help make a difference there as well. What can the white Jewish community do in order to help bridge the gap and help do what we're trying to do here through Amplified Voices? How do we amplify these conversations and allow them to take place in a meaningful way?
Beautiful question, Ty. Beautiful. That was beautiful. I'm working on, because I am Jewish as well, and I do realize it is quite the privilege to be both Black and Jewish. It's almost like being 2 different people at one time, just without like some sort of psychological diagnosis or something, some kind of, it is like living, is being multicultural I understand how like people who are multiracial feel. It's living in two worlds at the same time. And both of them are very important to my identity. And both of them are actually very important to each other. So what I'm doing now is whenever I go, like while we're going on this tour of these cities to take food for Thanksgiving, and we're doing these giveaways and we're doing this road trip, I'm actually connecting with the Jewish communities in those cities as well. Because my thing is, if like here, for instance, Jewish people come down to the block so much that they have relationships with people from the community, from the neighborhood outside of me. They talk on the phone, they visit each other, they hang out. They're friends. They're actually friends. They actually have relationships. When the shooting happened in Pittsburgh, the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, I had so many young Black people who are not Jewish from the block calling me saying, "Oh my God, is that your temple? Is that all temples? Like, did they do that to our friends?" Because Jews are their friends now. And I mean, how else would a 19-year-old Black kid know that it's Saturday morning, so everybody must be at temple right now? Because that's who they are. They're friends. And so the idea is, how do I create that kind of interaction in other places, that kind of comfort with each other? Because the thing is, it's kind of like, well, if somebody's saying something that may be perceived as being anti-Semitic, the kids like on my block will correct them and say, well, no, Jews aren't like that. Not the Jews that I know. They don't act like that. Or that's not true. That's what we need. And so you can't say anti-Semitic things if Black people know more Jews. And they know that's not the experience that I've had. So, I mean, this is just baseless. It's baseless. It doesn't make sense. And Jews need more. We need more champions like that. We need more relationships like that. So people outside of the Jewish community can speak up for us. We need that. So what I'm doing is, when I go into these different cities, I invite the Jewish communities to be a part of them. So part of these events. So if we need stuff donated, this is what we need. If you guys can donate it, that would be great. Now it would be good if you can come and help pass stuff out, because now I can make actual introductions between these two groups that they can maintain, help build relationships they can maintain when I'm not there, that didn't exist before. We're cutting out the middleman or the middle woman. It's not like you're going to donate to the NAACP or something like that, and then that money is going to trickle down to the community. No, it goes directly from the Jewish community in one city to the Black community in that same city, because this is what they're working on and this is what they need. So we're going to fundraise over here to help do this over here. And the thing is, we know each other. So I know this is what you did for me. So when it's time for somebody to speak up for you, when somebody is saying terrible things about Jews in the media or something like that, you don't have to worry about the ADL or anybody else. You have all of the people that you work with in your city to have your back. So that is building a real relationship between Black people and Jews. Black people and Ashkenazi Jews. But that's a real relationship. Rabbi Heschel and Dr. King had a friendship. And I think maybe it would have blossomed into an actual relationship if Dr. King would have maybe lived longer, but he didn't. And the work was unfinished because they didn't create something that would last between the two communities. I'm trying to pick up where they left off and actually build something that's going to outlive all of us. That's going to be a real, actual relationship. So when I come to your city and I say, this is what we're doing, take my call, because this is how we build bridges. So it's not just a conversation, it's actually conversations between two groups at the same time in the same place.
Well, thank you. And we will absolutely answer the call. How do you take care of you as you are continually, I don't want to say fighting this battle, but doing this work on an ongoing basis, standing up? How do you take care of the exhaustion that sometimes comes from that?
I drink wine and watch cartoons.
All right.
That's what I do. I mean, and I'm okay. I understand. I can't afford to get burnt out, because if I get burnt out and I don't go to work, people die. So, I mean, I just have to pull it together. And I mean, I was built for this. This is what I was made to do. So Obviously people tell me all the time, you're going to get burnt out. Well, burnt out should have been 3 years ago because I really need a vacation. But it doesn't happen. I get what I need from somewhere. I get the energy I need to do what I have to do the job. And this is what I was created to do. So I have the energy to do it.
Well, your kids must be so proud after inspiring you to do this, to watch how it's coming to fruition. So
my kids are young adults. They're not proud of anything, and they don't think I'm funny, and they're not amused by anything that I do. So maybe they'll appreciate it one day, but not really right now. And actually, both of my kids actually work in the school. So they're very deeply involved in the work as well.
that's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the school itself. Do you provide homework help? Is it daytime school, or is it all
No, it's
it's
daytime. It's daytime. It's 8:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon. And all of the e-learning kids have their computers, they come in and they set up. And we have teachers who help them with the work that they're doing from their CPS, just CPS work. And we get to see where they are academically. We get to see the ones who are struggling. We get to see where they are. Should they be further ahead? We get to help them with that. So they get breakfast, they get a hot lunch every day, they get recess, they get gym, they get all of these things. We have speakers coming in once a week to come and talk to them about, all different things, kind of like we normally do it on the block. But we give kids the kind of education, hopefully, that they should be getting all the time. It's not a huge classroom size. There's teachers who can work with 2 kids, individually when they need it. And so the kids are really picking up on stuff really quickly, and they love being there. So we're going to probably be building more schools. We want to build more in Chicago because we have a wait list, but the city won't cooperate and they won't give us any more vacant lots. And so we might have to commandeer one because we're no strangers to that either. But we're going to be building schools in Memphis as well. So it's spreading. It's an educational renaissance is what we're calling it.
Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Can we go back? Can you just tell us a little bit about the synagogue that you belong to and that you learned at? I think some of us on the call might not be completely familiar with the Ethiopian synagogue and how that all functions.
I don't belong to a synagogue anymore. I belong to the synagogue in the streets, the synagogue of the block, and it's coming to a city near you soon. I think that Judaism, I think all organized religion, I think is moving out of the 4 walls of churches and mosques and temples, is moving into the street where it should be. People aren't, shooting each other at temple. There are people coming from outside doing that. That's where the problem is. It's outside of the temple. It's not inside of it. And so the thing is, Ethiopian is pretty much every Black synagogue had that in their title at one time. And it wasn't because they were Ethiopians. It was because Ethiopia was never conquered. So it's an ideal. It's not necessarily about ethnicity or anything like that. It's just about an ideal. But that doesn't work for me anymore. That's not who I am anymore. So I can't really talk much more about that because it's not who I am. My synagogue is a lot bigger than that. My synagogue looks like a lot of different people and a lot of different things. So my synagogue might not even be all Jewish. I don't know. I don't know what people are. When they come and sit down to do Yom Kippur on the corner with us or something like that, these are just people who are seeking. They want to know more. They feel drawn to it. So we just welcome everybody. But that's kind of where I'm at this point.
That's an ongoing evolution for all of us to take our values and bring them out into the world. And you certainly are doing that on a daily basis. The scene for one of our viewers where the 4 young boys were caught stealing water, that was a particularly poignant scene. And certainly the lesson, and you stood up for them and let them know there was a lesson behind that. Can you tell us a little bit about the emotions that are involved in all of that, in a sense, protecting them from having to deal with the police, but also then letting them know that they were out of bounds?
That was heartbreaking. That scene was gut-wrenching. I didn't sleep that night because just seeing those little boys inside of a cage and being let out of a cage, it does something to you when you see that. because it's kind of like if 5 hours ago this kid was stealing water out of a car, where is he at now? What's happening now? And you don't control what happens when they go home. And if you don't make contact with the parents, you don't know what's happening. You don't know what sent them out there to steal water in the first place. And if it sent them out there once, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen in 5 years? What's going to happen in 10 years? And you can't see kids that go through, that live in situations like that and not see a funeral or jail cell in their future. If something is not done immediately, that's going to drastically change it. You don't see it. And it's the most heartbreaking thing in the world. You just want to take them all home with you, and you want to give them all the love that you feel like they deserve, but you can't. And so it's for those kids, it was just water. For some kids, it's holding guns. For some kids, it's holding drugs. You never know what kids in neighborhoods like this have to do to survive. And then I get them when they're adults and they're teenagers, and they come to something like Yom Kippur around the corner, and then they do all of this. They want to repent and make teshuvah for what they have to do to survive every day. They have to ask for forgiveness because they sell drugs, but that's how they survive. Or because they hold guns, but that's how they survive. And it's how many of us have to ask God's forgiveness for the way that we pay our bills, for the way that we put food on our tables? How many of us have to actually repent for that? Not a lot.
So when you're not there at night or in the winter, or you're helping to set up in another city, you have a team, I assume, that keeps things moving forward for you. Things don't just stop, right?
No, everything keeps running like clockwork. They don't even need me anymore. I feel really unneeded, and I want it. Sometimes I'm just junking, but no, I love the fact that they keep it going. Big wheel keep on turning, proud Mary keep on burning. We say it all the time. Everybody keeps rolling. It doesn't matter where I'm at. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Everything that happens on that block is going to happen. And so now I'm in the process of getting other cities to the point where they can do that too. Because the thing is, it's not about me. It's about building a community of people who see themselves the way that you see them, who want the same things for themselves that you want for them, who are willing to maintain the things that you've helped bring. They want to add to it. They want more. They want to do more. They want to be better. And so that's what I'm hoping we can inspire in other cities too. So it's not, people will sometimes say, well, how do you keep people from killing other people when you're not there? Because people don't want to just be murderers. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody just wants to do that. And it's kind of like, if you give them a different way to live, they'll do it. If you give people alternatives, they will take them. And that's what's happened. We just presented them with more choices. That's it.
So you mentioned your kids that are young adults, and I'm certainly in touch with them, not finding me funny anymore and not thinking I do anything quite right. What's their relationship with Judaism?
They are fairly religious. I mean, and both of them feel like the work that they do is tikkun olam. This is their job. This is what they do. I mean, this is who they are. My son, as a Black man, he has a more contentious relationship with organized Judaism than my daughter does, because he's been a victim of the racism that exists within the Jewish community. And he is kind of like, he has a complicated relationship with the Jewish people, but not one with God. And he is very good at separating the two.
I really love the way you just said that. So thank you. I'm gonna actually internalize that one as well. So somebody on the screen wants to know, and I hope it's not going to be one that I've asked, but what question irks you the most that you get when you're on these things?
How am I a Jew? My God, we got to stop asking that question. What the question we need to be asking is, why aren't there more Black Jews? That's the question. That's the question. How do we make Judaism look more like the world that it exists in, and less like a country club? And it's like people don't like, oh, that drives me nuts. But yes, that's the question. So if anybody was going to ask that question, just put your hand down It's too late in the evening for that.
Agreed. So as we're wrapping towards an end, what is the message that you would like to leave us with, and for us to take on to others as we move through this and look for other inspiration?
Understand how truly powerful it is to be Jewish. Understand how powerful it is. I mean, I know a lot of people in the world, they get it all wrong. I mean, the Jews control the weather and everything else in Hollywood. Brad, doesn't your family control the weather? Yeah, right? Yep. And it's Jews control everything, right? But it's people just don't get it. But Jews have so much power. Just the difference that I've seen taking my Judaism to that corner, the impact that it's had on the world, the impact that it's had on that block, on the people in that neighborhood. Can you imagine what it would be like if we all took our Judaism outside of the temple and took it to our blocks, or took it to the gym with us, or took it anywhere with us other than just in our homes in that temple? And I understand that, you know, a lot has happened to Jews. It's been a lot. There have been a lot of tragedies that have befallen us. There's been a lot of persecution. There's been a lot that's happened. And it can lead you to be more insular, but we can't be that way anymore. People can't be, I've learned that they can't be anti-Semitic when they know you. They can't have all these wrong ideas about you when they know you. And so we have to get to a place where we can trust the world enough to let it get to know us, that we don't fear it so much that we keep ourselves locked up, that we keep ourselves hidden, that we keep ourselves in this place where we become targets. So it's like we have to take this out into the world. We have a gift. Judaism is a gift. And we have to share that gift with the world. I mean, other Jews totally get it. It's the people who aren't Jews that we have to share this with. And we don't. And we need to do more of that. So all I'm asking is that you do something, that you just take a tiny step, just a little bitty step outside of your comfort zone. It all starts with one little step. Just do something. If it's something that you want to do it. If you can find, if it's a million reasons why you shouldn't do it, but it's one why you should, do it. Do it. Listen to the one and just do it. But just take a step. Take a step.
Well, Brad, I'm so grateful that you took so many steps to get Tamar to return your calls, because you're using film as this medium to put a megaphone in front of this very, very important issue. And this very, very important work is inspiring people from all across our country, and certainly hopefully beyond, as to the importance of developing these relationships. And I'm just grateful to you for doing that. I want to ask both of you, how did the community react as you all were walking around with a camera and filming and doing all of this in a way that could feel weird to them, maybe?
How did the community react?
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem for even half a second. I think because I was there with Tamar, I sort of had her seal of approval, which goes a long way in that neighborhood. And, you know, I came to the block to film. I had a cameraman, and that was it. There were just two of us. I didn't have a big crew. I didn't want to be intrusive. I didn't want to be in people's faces. My approach to making this film was to sort of blend into the background and just let the reality unfold in front of the camera. And my approach also was that I am a guest in somebody else's neighborhood, and I behaved appropriately. If you treat people with respect, you get respect back. Also, like Tamar, when you keep showing up somewhere, people will get to know you. And once they know you and they see the camera there, it's not that big of a deal after the first couple of times. And I'm certainly not the first camera crew ever to show up on the block. There's news crews are there all the time to talk to Tamar. But I was probably the one who was there the most, or at least the most consistently. And I had never had a problem. I only have great experiences to look back on in my time with, on the block.
Well, it has been a true inspiration and honor to spend time with you. And I next time I go to Chicago, I'm going to find my way down and would love to be.
You have to come see me. You have to come see me. Yes.
Tamar, let me just share, you are truly an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. You've inspired us, not just for the 90 minutes in the film, but all the time in between. And then tonight on a Sunday night to have this kicking off our week as we all head into the week with true inspiration and meaning.
Thank you.
On behalf of our community, I'm grateful to you. And Brad, thank you for all that you did to tell this story and to make this all available to us. With a lot of gratitude, I thank you both for being with us and being part of our series of conversations. And we invite you and the rest of everyone that's on to join us for part 3 of Amplified Voices on November 18th, when we will have the opportunity to talk to Ilana Kaufman. And that information is all available on our website, tucsonjcc.org. And I invite you all to join us as we continue this conversation into next year and beyond. So thank you all for being with us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.